First contact. John Miller's heart raced as he stood on the bridge of the U.S. horizon. The view screen before him displayed an armada of alien ships, their sleek, dark forms blotting out the stars. At 25, John was the youngest crew member on board, and right now he felt every bit of his inexperience. "Holy cow, those ships are huge," he exclaimed, unable to contain his awe and fear. Captain Sarah Thompson, a seasoned veteran at 40, nodded grimly. Her steel-gray eyes narrowed as she assessed the situation. "Yep, and they're not here to make friends." The bridge fell silent, the tension palpable. Sarah turned to her communications officer, a lanky man named Tom. "Any response to our hails?" Tom shook his head, his fingers dancing over his console. "Nothing yet, Cap. Wait, incoming transmission." Suddenly, the comm system crackled to life. The view screen flickered, and an alien face appeared, all writhing tentacles and glowing, multifaceted eyes. Its skin was a mottled purple-green, glistening with a slimy sheen. "Humans," it gurgled, its voice a wet, bubbling sound that sent shivers down John's spine. "Surrender your planet, or face extinction." Sarah's jaw clenched, her eyes blazing with defiance. "Like hell we will," she muttered, then raised her voice. "This is Captain Sarah Thompson of the United Earth Fleet. We choose to fight." As the alien cut the connection, Sarah turned to her crew. The bridge was eerily quiet, everyone processing the gravity of the situation. Then, with a determined set to her shoulders, Sarah spoke. "All right, folks, let's show these squid faces what humans are made of." The bridge erupted in cheers, the crew's fear transforming into fierce determination. John felt a surge of pride and adrenaline course through him. "Hell yeah," he shouted, pumping his fist in the air. "Let's fry some calamari." Sarah grinned at his enthusiasm. "That's the spirit, kid. Now, to your station. We've got a planet to defend." As John rushed to man the weapons console, Sarah began barking orders. "Tom, send out a distress call to all Earth ships in the sector. Lisa, I need a full scan of their fleet. Mike, plot us an intercept course with their lead ship." The crew sprang into action, their training kicking in despite the unprecedented situation. Lisa, the science officer, called out from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting over 100 ships in their fleet. Energy readings are off the charts." Sarah nodded grimly. "Outgunned and outnumbered. Just how I like it. Any weaknesses?" Lisa's fingers flew over her console. "Their shields seem to fluctuate when they fire their main weapons. If we time it right, we might be able to slip a torpedo through." "Good work," Sarah said. "John, you hear that? I want you to time your shots with their weapon discharge." John swallowed hard, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "Yes, ma'am. I won't let you down." The Horizon's engines roared to life, the ship surging forward to meet the alien threat. As they closed the distance, other Earth ships began to appear on the radar, answering their distress call. "Looks like the cavalry's arrived," Mike quipped from the helm. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Good. We're gonna need all hands on deck for this one." Suddenly, the space around them lit up with energy blasts. The alien fleet had opened fire. "Evasive maneuvers," Sarah shouted. "Return fire." The Horizon lurched to the side, narrowly avoiding a sizzling beam of energy. John's hands flew over his console, targeting the nearest alien ship and letting loose a barrage of torpedoes. Direct hit. He cheered as explosions blossomed across the alien vessel's hull. But their victory was short-lived. For every alien ship they damaged, 2 more seemed to take its place. The bridge rocked with impacts as enemy fire found its mark. "Shields at 60%. Lisa called out. Sarah gritted her teeth. "We need to even the odds. Tom, get me a channel to the rest of the fleet." As Tom worked to establish a connection, Sarah turned to address the gathered captains on the view screen. "Listen up, people. We're in for the fight of our lives. But remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every man, woman, and child on Earth, for every dream unrealized, every future unwritten. We are humanity's last line of defense, and by God, we will not fail." A chorus of determined "Aye, Captain" rang out from the assembled leaders. Now, Sarah continued, her voice steel. "Here's the plan. We're going to form up into squadrons. Alpha Team, you're with me. We're going straight for their flagship. Beta and Gamma, run interference. Delta, hang back and pick off any stragglers. Let's show these aliens what happens when they mess with Earth." As the Earth fleet reorganized, executing Sarah's plan with precision, John couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. This was humanity at its finest, united, determined, and unyielding in the face of overwhelming odds. The battle raged on, a deadly dance of energy beams and explosions against the backdrop of stars. John's world narrowed to his targeting computer, his fingers moving almost on instinct as he fired volley after volley at the enemy ships. "John." Sarah's voice cut through his focus. "Their flagship is charging its main cannon. This is our chance. Give it everything we've got." John nodded, sweat beading on his brow as he lined up the shot. Time seemed to slow as he watched the alien flagship's energy reading spike. Just as they reached their peak, he fired. A spread of torpedoes streaked across space, slipping through the momentary gap in the flagship's shields. They struck home in a spectacular explosion that lit up the battlefield. Cheers erupted on the bridge as the massive alien ship listed to one side, fires breaking out across its hull. "Great shot, kid," Sarah exclaimed, clapping John on the shoulder. But their celebration was premature. Even as the flagship burned, the rest of the alien fleet pressed their attack with renewed fury. "Shields critical," Lisa shouted over the din of alarms. "We can't take much more of this." Sarah's mind raced, searching for a solution. Then her eyes fell on the damaged alien flagship, and a crazy idea formed. "Mike," she said, her voice calm despite the chaos around them, "set a course for the enemy flagship. Full speed." Mike's eyes widened as he realized her plan. "Captain, you can't be serious." Sarah's grin was fierce and determined. "Oh, I'm dead serious. If we're going down, we're taking their leader with us." As the horizon surged forward, on a collision course with the alien flagship, John felt a mix of terror and exhilaration. This was it, their last desperate gambit. "All hands," Sarah's voice rang out over the ship's comm. "Brace for impact. It's been an honor serving with you all." The horizon picked up speed, streaking towards the massive alien ship like a bullet. John closed his eyes, sending up a silent prayer to whatever might be listening. With a thunderous crash, the horizon plowed into the alien flagship's hull, tearing through decks and bulkheads. Alarms blared, and emergency lights flashed as the ship came to a shuddering halt, wedged deep inside the enemy vessel. As the dust settled, Sarah's voice cut through the darkness. "Status report. Is everyone all right?" A chorus of groans and affirmatives answered her. John opened his eyes, hardly daring to believe he was still alive. Sarah stood up, brushing debris from her uniform. Her eyes gleamed with determination as she surveyed her battered but unbroken crew. "All right, folks," she said, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. "We're not done yet. Now we take the fight to them. Gear up. We're going alien hunting." And with that, the real battle was about to begin. The battle begins. As the crew of the U.S. Horizon gathered their wits and weapons, the reality of their situation sank in. They were trapped inside an alien flagship, surrounded by hostile forces, with only their training and each other to rely on. John's hands trembled slightly as he checked his laser rifle. "I can't believe we're actually doing this," he muttered. Mike, the burly tactical officer, clapped him on the back. "Believe it, rookie. This is where the real fun begins." Sarah emerged from the ship's armory, her face set with grim determination. "All right, people, listen up. We're going to split into two teams. Alpha Team, led by me, will search for the ship's bridge. Beta Team, under Mike's command, will locate and disable their main power core. Any questions? The crew exchanged nervous glances, but no one spoke up. Good, Sarah nodded. Remember your training, watch each other's backs, and for God's sake, try not to touch anything that looks squishy. A nervous chuckle rippled through the group. As they prepared to disembark, Lisa, the science officer, approached Sarah with a concerned look. Captain, I've been analyzing the ship's internal atmosphere. It's breathable, but there are trace elements that could be mildly hallucinogenic to humans. We should be prepared for possible sensory distortions. Sarah frowned. Great, just what we need. All right, everyone, you heard Lisa. If you start seeing pink elephants, don't shoot at them unless they shoot first. With a hiss of hydraulics, the Horizon's airlock opened, revealing the alien ship's dim, pulsating interior. The walls seemed to writhe with an unsettling organic quality. Ew, John gagged. It's like we're inside a giant stomach. Keep it together, kid, Sarah said, stepping out into the alien corridor. Alpha Team, with me. Beta Team, you know your objective. Move out. The teams split up, each heading down a different fleshy tunnel. John found himself with Alpha Team, his heart pounding as they crept through the ship's eerie passageways. Man, this place gives me the creeps, John whispered, eyeing the pulsating walls. Sarah nodded, her eyes constantly scanning for threats. Stay sharp, kid. We need to find their central command and... She was cut off as a group of aliens rounded the corner. They were even more terrifying up close, their tentacles writhing and eyes glowing with malevolence. Intruders. They screeched, the sound like nails on a chalkboard. Run, Sarah yelled, firing her laser rifle. The corridor erupted into chaos. Laser fire crisscrossed the air, leaving scorch marks on the organic walls. The aliens retaliated with strange bioelectric weapons that made the air crackle with energy. John's training kicked in, and he found himself moving on instinct. He ducked behind a fleshy protrusion, popping out to fire quick bursts at the advancing aliens. Nice shooting, kid, Sarah called out as one of John's shots found its mark, sending an alien crumpling to the floor. They sprinted down twisting passageways, the aliens hot on their heels. The ship seemed to come alive around them, tendrils reaching out from the walls to grab at their ankles. In here, John shouted, spotting a small chamber off to the side. The team dove in, and the door slid shut behind them with a wet squelch. As they caught their breath, they realized they weren't alone. A single alien stood before a massive computer terminal, its tentacles dancing over the controls. But unlike the others, this one made no move to attack. Wait, the alien said in perfect English, raising its tentacles in what seemed to be a gesture of peace. I am not your enemy. Sarah and John exchanged confused looks, their weapons still trained on the alien. I am Dr. Zilksnax, the alien continued. I've been waiting for you. You have? John asked, bewildered. Zilksnax nodded, its tentacles rippling. Yes. Our leader, the Grand Squid, is mad with power. Many of us disagree with this war. Sarah lowered her weapon slightly, but her eyes remained wary. So, you want to help us? Precisely, Zilksnax replied. I can give you control of our fleet, but you must promise to spare those who surrender. After a moment's hesitation, Sarah nodded. Deal, but if this is a trick. No trick, Zilksnax assured them. The future of both our species depends on ending this conflict. As Zilksnax worked on the computer, inputting a dizzying array of commands, John whispered to Sarah, Can we trust him? Sarah shrugged, her eyes never leaving the alien. Got any better ideas? Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. Zilksnax's tentacles flew over the controls with increased urgency. What's happening? Sarah demanded. The Grand Squid has initiated the ship's self-destruct sequence, Zilksnax explained, its voice tinged with panic. He would rather destroy the fleet than see it fall into enemy hands. "Can you stop it?" John asked, his voice cracking. Zilksnax's eyes dimmed. "No, but I can redirect the energy. Instead of destroying us, it will transform us." "Transform?" Sarah echoed. "What does that mean?" But before Zilksnax could answer, a blinding light filled the chamber. John felt a strange tingling sensation throughout his body. And then, darkness. When he came to, John found himself lying on the floor of what appeared to be the alien ship's bridge. But everything looked different. The organic, pulsating walls had been replaced by sleek metal and glowing control panels that seemed to blend both human and alien technology. What happened?" he groaned, sitting up. Sarah was already on her feet, staring out the view screen with a mix of awe and disbelief. "I think we just got an upgrade, kid." John joined her at the view screen and gasped. The alien fleet had been transformed. The ships now bore a striking resemblance to Earth vessels, but with clear alien influences. And at the center of it all was their ship, no longer the U.S. Horizon, but a massive flagship that dwarfed everything around it. Zilksnax approached them, its appearance now a strange hybrid of human and alien features. "The transformation is complete. Our fleets have been merged, our technologies combined. We are no longer two species at war, but one united force." "United against what?" Sarah asked, a note of apprehension in her voice. As if in answer to her question, a new fleet of ships suddenly appeared on the edge of their sensors. These vessels were unlike anything they had ever seen, dark, ominous, and radiating an aura of ancient malevolence. "Against them," Zilksnax said grimly. "The true enemy that has been manipulating both our species, pushing us to war. They are known as the Void Dwellers, and they seek to consume all life in the galaxy." John felt a chill run down his spine. "So, what do we do now?" Sarah's face hardened with determination. "We do what humanity does best. We adapt, we fight, and we win." She turned to address the hybrid crew that now populated the bridge, a mix of humans and former aliens, all looking to her for leadership. "All right, people," she said, her voice ringing with authority. "I know this isn't what any of us expected when we woke up this morning. But right now, we're all that stands between these void dwellers and every living being in the galaxy. So let's show them what happens when you mess with humanity and our new allies." A cheer went up from the crew, a strange mix of human voices and alien trills that somehow blended into perfect harmony. As they prepared to face this new threat, John couldn't help but smile. Humanity had come to the stars looking for a fight, but instead they'd found something much more valuable: unity in the face of a greater challenge. The battle was far from over, but for the first time since the aliens appeared, John felt a glimmer of hope. Whatever these void dwellers threw at them, they would face it together, as one united galactic force. Infiltration. The newly transformed hybrid ship, which the crew had dubbed Unity, hung in space, facing the ominous fleet of void dwellers. The bridge buzzed with activity as the mixed crew of humans and former aliens worked in perfect synchronization. Sarah stood at the center, her eyes fixed on the view screen. "Zilksnax, what can you tell us about these void dwellers?" The hybrid scientist's tentacles rippled thoughtfully. "They are ancient beings, Captain. They exist partly in our dimension, and partly in something else. Our combined technology gives us a fighting chance, but to truly defeat them, we must strike at their source." John, who had been monitoring the weapon systems, turned to face them. "Their source? You mean like their homeworld?" Zilksnax shook his head, an oddly human gesture on his alien features. "Not a world, John. A rift. A tear in the fabric of space-time that allows them to enter our universe." Sarah's brow furrowed. "So we need to close this rift. Any ideas how?" Before Zilksnax could respond, the ship rocked violently. Alarms blared as Lisa called out from her station, Multiple impacts. They're using some kind of phase-shifting weaponry. Our shields can't fully block it. Return fire. Sarah ordered. John, target their lead ship. Let's see what our new weapons can do. John's fingers flew over the console, marveling at how intuitive the alien technology felt. He fired a salvo of energy torpedoes, watching as they streaked across space, shifting in and out of phase to bypass the enemy's defenses. The lead Void Dweller ship erupted in a spectacular explosion, but two more quickly took its place. Damn, Sarah muttered. We can't win a war of attrition. Zilk snacks. About that rift. The scientist nodded. Yes, I believe I know how we can close it, but we'll need to get much closer, inside their fleet. Mike let out a low whistle. Talk about a suicide mission. Not necessarily, Sarah said, a glint in her eye. Remember our little trick with the horizon? I think it's time for an encore. Understanding dawned on John's face. You want to ram them again? Sarah grinned. Not quite. Zilk snacks. Does this ship have a cloaking device? Even better, the hybrid scientist replied. We have phase shift technology that can take us out of sync with normal space-time. We could slip right through their fleet undetected. Perfect. Sarah nodded. Here's the plan. We phase shift through their fleet, get as close to the rift as possible, then unshift and launch our strike team. Zilk snacks. You'll lead the team to close the rift. John, you're with him. John's eyes widened. Me. But I'm not a scientist. Wouldn't Lisa be a better choice? Sarah placed a hand on his shoulder. You've got good instincts, kid. Besides, someone needs to watch Zilk snacks' back. I need Lisa here to monitor the rift's energy signatures. As the crew prepared for the mission, Sarah pulled John aside. Listen, John. I know you're scared. Hell, we all are. But I wouldn't be sending you if I didn't think you could handle it. John nodded, swallowing hard. I won't let you down, Captain. I know you won't, Sarah smiled. Now gear up. You're about to make history. The next few minutes were a blur of activity. John found himself in the shuttle bay, strapping on a sleek, form-fitting suit that seemed to be a blend of human and alien design. Zilk snacks approached, accompanied by two other hybrid crew members. Are you ready, John? As I'll ever be, John replied, trying to keep the tremor out of his voice. The ship shuddered as it engaged its phase shift drive. Through the bay's view screen, John watched in awe as they passed ethereally through the Void Dweller fleet. Massive ships loomed around them, their dark hulls crackling with eldritch energy. Finally, they came to a stop. In the distance, John could see it, a swirling vortex of darkness that seemed to devour light itself. The rift. That's our target, Zilk snacks said grimly. Once we unshift, we'll have minutes at most before they detect us. Sarah's voice came over the comm. Strike team, prepare for launch. Unshifting in 3, 2, 1. The world seemed to snap back into focus as Unity re-entered normal space. Immediately, alarms began to blare. Go, 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 Sarah yelled. The shuttle bay doors opened, and their small craft shot out into the void. John's stomach lurched as they accelerated towards the rift, dodging energy blasts from the suddenly alert Void Dweller ships. How exactly are we supposed to close that thing? John shouted over the roar of the engines. Zilk snacks held up a device that looked like a cross between a grenade and a small octopus. This is a quantum flux inverter. It should destabilize the rift's energy matrix, causing it to collapse in on itself. Should? John echoed incredulously. Science is often theoretical, John. Zilk snacks replied with what might have been a smile. As they neared the rift, the shuttle began to shake violently. Outside, space itself seemed to be warping and twisting. We're caught in the rift's gravity well, one of the hybrid crew members called out. We can't get any closer. Zilk snacks turned to John, his alien eyes filled with determination. We'll have to spacewalk the rest of the way. John's heart raced as they donned their helmets and prepared to exit the shuttle. The airlock hissed open, and suddenly, They were floating in the midst of chaos. The rift loomed before them, a maw of swirling darkness that threatened to swallow them whole. Around them, Void Dweller ships fired relentlessly at Unity, which was valiantly holding its own under Sarah's command. "Remember," Zilksnax's voice crackled over the comm. "Once we activate the inverter, we'll have 30 seconds to clear the blast radius." John nodded, not trusting himself to speak. They ignited their suit thrusters, pushing towards the rift against the pull of its gravity. As they neared their target, a group of Void Dwellers emerged from the rift. They were terrifying up close, writhing masses of tentacles and shadow, with eyes that burned like dying stars. "John, cover us," Zilksnax called out. Pushing down his fear, John raised his phase pistol and fired. The weapon pulsed with energy, each shot causing the Void Dwellers to recoil and dissipate temporarily. Zilksnax reached the edge of the rift, his tentacles working quickly to set up the inverter. Almost there. Suddenly, a tendril of darkness lashed out, wrapping around John's leg. He cried out as an intense cold seeped through his suit, numbing his body and clouding his mind with whispers of cosmic horror. "John," Zilksnax's voice seemed to come from far away. "You must resist. Remember who you are, what you're fighting for." Through the encroaching darkness, John thought of Earth, of Sarah and the crew, of the United Fleet fighting against impossible odds. With a supreme effort of will, he raised his pistol and fired directly into the mass of tentacles. The Void Dweller recoiled, releasing its grip. John shook his head, clearing the last of the whispers from his mind. "It's done," Zilksnax shouted. "The inverter is active. We need to move now." They fired their thrusters at full power, racing away from the rift as energy began to crackle around the inverter. Behind them, the Void Dwellers shrieked in fury and fear. "Unity, we need extraction," John called out. "The package is delivered." "Copy that," Sarah's voice replied. "Hang tight, we're coming to get you." As their shuttle approached, John looked back. The rift was collapsing in on itself, pulling the Void Dweller ships with it. A wave of energy pulsed outward, overtaking them just as they reached the safety of the shuttle. Inside, John collapsed to the floor, exhausted but exhilarated. Zilksnax placed a tentacle on his shoulder. "You did well, John. Your species continues to impress me." As the shuttle docked with Unity, John allowed himself a tired smile. The battle was won, but he had a feeling their adventures were far from over. Whatever the universe had in store for this new, united force, they would face it together. Unexpected allies. As the shuttle docked with Unity, John and Zilksnax were greeted by a jubilant crew. The bridge erupted in cheers as they entered, Sarah beaming with pride. "Outstanding work, both of you," she said, clapping them on the shoulders. "You've just saved the galaxy." John blushed, still processing the enormity of what they'd accomplished. "Thank you, Captain. But what happens now? Are the Void Dwellers really gone?" Sarah's expression turned serious. "That's what we need to figure out. Lisa, what are our sensors showing?" The science officer frowned at her console. "It's strange, Captain. The rift has definitely closed, and most of the Void Dweller ships were pulled in. But I'm detecting residual energy signatures scattered throughout the sector. It's as if fragments of their essence remained behind." Zilksnax's tentacles writhed thoughtfully. "It's possible that closing the rift didn't destroy the Void Dwellers entirely, but merely severed their connection to their home dimension. Those fragments could be dormant or evolving." "Great," Mike grumbled. "So we might have a bunch of baby Void Dwellers running around." Before anyone could respond, a new alarm blared. "Captain," Tom called out from communications, "we're receiving a transmission. Well, you need to see this." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that made the entire bridge crew gasp. It was a Void Dweller, but unlike any they had seen before. Instead of a writhing mass of darkness, it appeared almost humanoid, with glowing ethereal features that shifted and swirled like cosmic dust. "Greetings, warriors of unity," the being spoke, its voice a haunting melody that seemed to resonate within their minds. "I am Zephyr, last of the Void Dweller elders. We apologize for the actions of our brethren." Sarah stepped forward, her voice cautious but firm. "You'll understand if we find that hard to believe. Your kind just tried to destroy us all." Zephyr's form rippled with what might have been sorrow. "The ones you fought were corrupted, driven mad by eons of existence between dimensions. We elders have long sought a way to end their rampage, but we lacked the means. Until you provided it." John couldn't believe what he was hearing. "So closing the rift, you wanted that to happen." "Indeed, young one," Zephyr replied. "By severing our connection to the void, you have freed us from its corrupting influence. Those of us who remain are changing, evolving, and we owe you a debt of gratitude." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "That's all well and good, but how do we know we can trust you? This could be another trick." Zilksnax stepped forward. "Captain, if I may, I believe they are sincere. The energy readings from this being are fundamentally different from those we encountered before. There's a harmony to it, a balance that was lacking in the others." Zephyr's form brightened. "Your hybrid friend speaks truth. We wish to make amends, to help repair the damage our kind has caused. But more than that, we bring a warning." The bridge fell silent, all eyes fixed on the ethereal being. "The void from which we came is not empty," Zephyr continued, its voice grave. "There are other entities, other dimensions pressing against the fabric of your reality. What you might call magic." Mike scoffed. "Magic? Come on, that's just science we don't understand yet." "Right. Perhaps," Zephyr conceded. "But it is science that defies your current laws of physics. Even now, with the rift closed, the barrier between worlds grows thin. You may soon find your galaxy facing threats you cannot imagine." Sarah took a deep breath, processing this new information. "So what are you proposing?" "An alliance." "Precisely," Zephyr nodded, or seemed to, its form rippling in affirmation. "We offer our knowledge, our evolving abilities. In return, we ask for a home among the stars and the chance to redeem ourselves." The bridge erupted in murmurs. John looked to Sarah, seeing the weight of this decision in her eyes. "Captain," he said softly, "I know it sounds crazy, but I think we should trust them. If what Zephyr's saying is true, we're going to need all the help we can get." Sarah nodded slowly. "I agree, but this isn't a decision I can make alone." She turned to address the view screen. "Zephyr, we're open to an alliance, but I'll need to consult with Earth's leadership and our new allies from the former alien fleet. Can you give us some time?" "Of course," Zephyr replied. "We shall await your decision. But be swift, for the barriers between worlds grow weaker by the moment." As the transmission ended, the bridge exploded into a flurry of activity. Sarah began coordinating with Earth and the Allied fleet, while Lisa and Zilksnax pored over the sensor data from the evolving Void Dweller fragments. John found himself at a loss, unsure of his role in these momentous events. He wandered to the observation deck, staring out at the star-filled expanse. So much had changed in so little time. Humanity had gone from fighting for survival to potentially allying with their former enemies against threats from beyond reality itself. He was so lost in thought that he didn't notice Mike approaching until the burly tactical officer spoke. "Hell of a day, huh, kid?" John chuckled weakly. "You could say that again. Magic, interdimensional threats. It's like something out of a sci-fi novel." Mike leaned against the railing. "Yeah, but that's the thing about space. Just when you think you've seen it all, the universe throws you another curveball. We adapt, or we die." "But how do we adapt to this?" John asked, gesturing at the stars. "We're talking about rewriting the laws of physics as we know them." "One step at a time," Mike replied. "That's how humanity's always done it. We didn't go from horse-drawn carriages to starships overnight. We'll figure this out too." Their conversation was interrupted by Sarah's voice over the intercom. "All senior staff to the briefing room." Earth has made its decision. As they filed into the briefing room, John could feel the tension in the air. Sarah stood at the head of the table, her face unreadable. "I've just finished conferring with Earth's leadership and representatives from our allied fleet," she began. "After much deliberation, we've decided to accept Zephyr's offer of alliance." A mix of reactions rippled through the room: relief, excitement, and more than a little apprehension. "I know this is unprecedented," Sarah continued. "We're about to embark on a journey into the unknown, facing threats we can barely comprehend. But that's what we do. We explore, we learn, and we grow. Together with our new allies, both the former alien fleet and the evolving void dwellers, we'll forge a path into this new frontier." She turned to John, a smile playing on her lips. "John, you've proven yourself time and again during this crisis. I'm promoting you to lieutenant and appointing you as our official liaison with Zephyr and the void dwellers. Your unique experiences make you ideal for the role." John's jaw dropped. Thank you, Captain. I won't let you down." As the meeting adjourned, the crew buzzed with excitement and nervous energy. They were about to rewrite the book on interstellar relations and the very nature of reality itself. John stood at the view screen, watching as Zephyr's ship approached. The ethereal vessel seemed to shimmer with possibilities, a bridge between science and magic, known and unknown. "Well, kid," Mike said, coming to stand beside him, "ready to make some more history?" John nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "You know what? I think I am." As Unity prepared to dock with Zephyr's ship, John couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder. The galaxy was changing, reality itself was shifting, and humanity was at the forefront of it all. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Humans, aliens, and trans-dimensional beings united in the greatest adventure of all time. The next chapter of their journey was about to begin, and John couldn't wait to see where it would lead. Victory and understanding. As Unity docked with Zephyr's ethereal vessel, John felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. He stood at the airlock, flanked by Sarah and Zilksnax, ready to make first contact with their new allies. The airlock hissed open, revealing a shimmering corridor that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Zephyr floated towards them, its form a swirling galaxy of light and energy. "Welcome, friends," Zephyr's melodic voice resonated in their minds. "We are honored by your trust and eager to begin our alliance." Sarah stepped forward, extending her hand in a very human gesture. "The honor is ours, Zephyr. We have much to learn from each other." As Zephyr's ethereal tendril met Sarah's hand, a spark of energy passed between them. Sarah gasped, her eyes widening. "Captain?" John asked, concerned. "I'm fine," Sarah assured him, a look of wonder on her face. "It's just, I saw something. The vastness of space, the interconnectedness of all things. It was beautiful." Zephyr's form rippled with what seemed like pleasure. "That, Captain, is but a glimpse of the knowledge we wish to share. But first, we must address the pressing matter at hand. The weakening barriers between dimensions." The group moved to a large chamber that defied description. It was simultaneously vast and intimate, with swirling patterns of energy that formed impromptu screens and interfaces. "Wow," John breathed, trying to take it all in. "It's like being inside a living computer." "In a sense, it is," Zephyr explained. "This chamber is an extension of our consciousness, a bridge between thought and reality. Here, we can visualize the complex energies that threaten your dimension." With a wave of its tendrils, Zephyr conjured a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Scattered throughout were pulsing points of light in various colors. "These are the weak points," Zephyr indicated. "Areas where the fabric of reality has been stretched thin. If left unchecked, they could tear, allowing other dimensions to bleed into yours." Zilksnax studied the map intently. "The energy signatures are similar to the rift we closed, but on a smaller scale. Perhaps we could adapt our quantum flux inverter to seal these weak points. A promising idea, Zephyr agreed. But it would require a significant power source and precise calibration for each point. We do not have the luxury of time to address them one by one. John, who had been quiet until now, suddenly perked up. What if we didn't have to? Captain, remember when we merged our fleets? The energy wave that transformed everything. Sarah's eyes lit up with understanding. You're suggesting we create a similar wave to reinforce the fabric of space-time across the entire galaxy. Exactly. John nodded enthusiastically. If we could combine Void Dweller energy manipulation, our phase shift technology, and the quantum flux inverter, we could create a cascading effect. Zilksnax finished, his tentacles writhing with excitement. A wave of stabilizing energy that would ripple across the galaxy, sealing the weak points as it goes. Zephyr's form brightened. Young one, your species continues to impress. This plan has merit, but it would require an enormous amount of energy, more than any single ship or fleet could generate. Sarah frowned, thinking hard. What about the dormant Void Dweller fragments scattered across the sector? Could we use them somehow? Yes, Zephyr mused. If we could synchronize them, they could act as amplification nodes for the wave. But coordinating such an effort would be an immense challenge. John stepped forward, an idea forming. What if we used Unity as a focal point? Our ship is already a blend of human, alien, and Void Dweller technology. With some modifications, we could become a sort of galactic tuning fork. The chamber fell silent as everyone considered the audacious plan. Finally, Sarah spoke. It's risky, but it might be our best shot. Zephyr, can your people help us make the necessary modifications to Unity? We can, Zephyr confirmed. But be warned, this process will be dangerous. The energies involved could tear the ship apart if not perfectly controlled. Sarah turned to her crew. You've heard the risks. I won't order anyone to stay. If you want to return to Earth, now's your chance. John looked around at his crewmates, humans, former aliens, and hybrids alike. Not a single person moved. Looks like we're all in, Captain, he said with a grin. Sarah nodded, pride evident in her eyes. All right then, let's save reality. The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. Unity's engineering bay became a fusion of cutting-edge science and what